Yun. So, ang nagiging problema na nakikita namin, pinangalanan lang namin yung mga problemang nasasabi sa amin, ay transitory food insecurity, which is, as defined by Devereaux, a sudden decline in the ability to meet subsistence needs or a temporary food deficit for whatever reason. And this already exacerbates pre-COVID food insecurity. At maraming salamat sa presentation kanina. So mas nakita namin yung extent ng food insecurity. Pero according to SWS, noong 2019, may chronic hunger na 9% of the population of the Philippines, and there's a child malnutrition of 0 to 2 years old na children, 26% in 2019. So marami pang ibang statistics na pwedeng i-cite dyan. Pero yan lang yung nakalap ko in the 2 days that we were writing the concept note. So yon, so meron ng dating food insecurity, nagkakaroon pa ngayon ng transitory food insecurity, yung ngayong emergency phase because of the lockdowns, na-exacerbate yung dati ng meron. For this, we're using. Hi, Jess.
Hi, I just came in. I'm sorry. I just saw the email. I am so sorry. Anyway, please, sorry. Don't let me interrupt.
So sige, ito yung ginagamit nating framework for food security. If you look at the top box, nandyan yung activities para gumawa ng pagkain, iproseso siya, dalhin siya sa mga kakain, at yung pag-consume ng pagkain. So the whole value chain for food is nandyan na. At sa ilalim naman, nandyan yung food system outcomes, at may tatlo siyang 3 general classes of indicators. There's na sinasabi ng WFP din, and yung iba pa. Food access, food availability, and food utilization. Food utilization is also sometimes called quality and safety. Yun. At yung food security na yun ay malaki ang impact at naaapektuhan din ng social welfare. Income, employment, wealth, social and political capital, and human capital, at ng environment at natural capital. So this one is looking at it from the system's point of view, but top of mind niya yung food system activities. Ayan. Ito yung nakita pa lang namin na causes ng supply chain disruption ng pagkain. Ang isa ay yung enhanced community quarantine sa NCR at yung community quarantine sa ibang mga lugar. Ang isang naging epekto nun ay ang pag-cut ng staff ng more than half, kasi skeletal force lang sa food establishments. Mapa-manufacturing siya, mapa-restaurant siya, grocery, etc. So the food activities decrease. Food transport is disrupted because of uneven community quarantine policies and protocols. LGUs have different interpretations of the community quarantine protocols and policies that came out of national government. And so, nagkakaiba-iba rin sila ng implementation ng lockdown. Minsan may lockdown sa City A, sa City B ay wala, tapos sa City C ay meron, pero kailangan mag-move ng pagkain across all those cities. Minsan humihinto siya sa isang lugar dahil sa checkpoint, at doon na nabubulok yung pagkain, na itatapo na siya minsan. Yun. Ang supply chain ay na-disrupted because of the lack of food reserves. Normally, groceries, at makikita nyo na ngayon, empty na ang shelves ng mga groceries. Groceries or restaurants or food establishments have food stock only up to a few weeks. wala silang, I don't know if it's mandated in the Philippines na magkaroon ng buffer stock for emergencies. At kung meron mang mandate na ganon, hindi yun sinusunod. Madaling salita, walang food reserves. Food establishments are also cautious on ramping up operations kasi hindi nila makita saan ba kailangan, maibebenta ba yun, maipapadala ba. Siyempre, ang food establishments operate on a just-in-time operation. So, medyo kailangang i-revise yun ngayong emergency phase. There's also a lack of transport terminal staff. So, yung pagkain natin, gumagalaw yan in multimodal terminals. So, ibababa mo muna by boat, tapos kukunin ng truck. Pagdating sa isang point, kukunin ng mas maliit na truck, ita-transport somewhere else. Now, the terminal staff have to be competent in handling food items in a crisis and transport in a crisis like this, in an epidemic, in a pandemic. Nagkaroon din ng reduction in food exports. So marami tayong saging, hipon, at iba pang prutas na hindi maipadala. So magkakaroon tayo ng oversupply and then you cannot move them, so nabubulok sila. Meron din reduction of food imports, and if we are to believe the DA, hindi naman natin kailangan mag-import ng rice kasi we have an 80-day supply and harvest na. So DA is predicting that we will have rice sufficient for the next 6 months. Pero meron tayong mga pagkain na heavily dependent on imported raw materials. One of the sectors na maaaring maapektuhan yan dito sa Mindanao ay yung halal foods. Because meron yang mga pagkain at raw materials na nagagaling sa ibang bansa. Yon. So ano nang ginagawa ngayon? So there's the Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases, and they approved the DA proposal already on food resiliency protocol. This includes free movement of farmers, fishermen, etc., workers in food processing and manufacturing firms, so that the food supply chain is not disrupted too much. NEDA also released a report on the economic impact of the pandemic, and they've recommended some actions already. There's a strong collaborative CSO response, especially sa NCR, at nag-expand na yun sa Luzon. I don't see that in Mindanao yet. And then the task force also is already considering new protocols to allow for freer movement of goods and maybe a selective lockdown instead of yung NCR-wide. So, meron pa ring mga gaps yon. Una-una, there's a very heavy focus on the emergency phase, which is naintindihan natin bakit may ganoon. Dito sa emergency phase na ito, kailangan natin ng rapid data gathering for real-time needs. Sa post-lockdown, or halimbawa magkaroon ng selective lockdown, kailangan natin ng food supply chain monitoring. Mas kailangan natin doon kasi hindi na centralized yung pag-deliver, etc. So magkakaiba na ngayon ng mga policies per barangay or per LGU. There's also very little data-driven decision-making that's happening because the COVID caught us flat-footed. NEDA is now requesting for suggestions for a post-lockdown plan. There's no as far as I can see, wala pang post-COVID scenario-based planning. Ano ang magiging new normal using systems thinking. There also needs to be impact monitoring at hindi pa yan nagagawa ngayon dahil ang isip ng tao ay nasa emergency phase pa. And then there needs to be, when all of this is done, we're going back to our normal lives, the new normal, we need to look back at best practice and innovation. Ano ba yung nag-work? Ano yung hindi? Saan tayo pumalpak? How can we do it better? So if the next pandemic arises, we're better prepared. Yun. So anong solusyon natin? We'd like to bridge that gap by deploying adaptive learning tools. So ang sinasabi natin, hindi pwede yung normal na, hindi pwede yung business as usual at this point. Normal planning methods, normal operational planning methods, hindi siya pwede ngayon. So we'd like to deploy adaptive learning tools to gather data and information on the food value chain. Saan siya na-disrupt? Paano tanggalin yung impediments? And then quickly plug these data sets into an online platform, web-based. Ang iniisip namin pa, hindi pa yan siya cast in stone. Iniisip pa lang namin sa web-based portal where you can put in all the data there in order to monitor the movement of food, medicine, and essentials. And then produce policy and action recommendations for decision-making. Like we said, ang LGUs ang magiging key dito. So we're hoping that there would be weekly listening sessions, ang term ni Jess, listening sessions para magkaroon ng policy and action from the LGUs, hopefully inter-LGUs and intersectoral. We aim to explore innovative, data-driven, and technology-based solutions to food security challenges during the disruption. And this will hopefully reduce transitory food insecurity and increase our resilience in a pandemic. Ito yung specific objectives. Medyo malapit na 14 days na lang, 13 days na lang. Number 1 is to create a data and information set. Food supply, food demand, logistics, sourced from even the remotest areas using small bandwidth apps and social mob methods. And then the second is to organize observatories. Diyan the data gathering, or rapid scanning, data gathering, not just of the disruptions in the food supply chain, but also innovations and best practice that maybe can be taught to others and maybe can be adapted and deployed quickly. Also, itong mga information na to na magagather will go towards some scenario building activities later. And then the third is to come up with data-driven, technology-based solutions to food security challenges during these times. Ang mga outputs ito, ang una ay data sets, both yung data sets na static and live data sets, a web-based portal, but this one is in a separate project, hindi covered nitong na to. Bi-weekly policy notes provided to decision makers, whether national government, businessmen ba yan, LGU ba yan. Curated cases of good practice, and later on, when all of this is done, we're hoping to have monographs on food policy. Hindi ko na isama dito are the weekly listening sessions. So lahat yung mga information na yon, yung policy notes na yon, they will be used in weekly listening sessions. So ang approach is adaptive learning because TFI is a complex adaptive problem, and we're hoping to use the toolbox in problem-driven iterative adaptation. We also use the social lab strategy. So the whole Mindanao Food Highway is lodged under the Mindanao Futures Lab. So collaborative to, we're hoping. Already we have many partners that expressed willingness to be part of this. And then we hope to come out with immediately usable outputs for decision making. Yan. Maraming salamat po.